Hello friends, how are you? I hope you all are doing good. So let's continue with marginal costing and we'll try to complete this marginal costing in this lecture, right? Two very important but very simple topics that we have to cover in it and two questions from the ICI module itself we are going to do it. Okay, so last topic now, almost last topic that we are going to discuss, very important topic, that is key factor or limiting factor, key factor or limiting factor. Now from the practical point of view, this topic is very important, right? If you talk about the ICI module, I'll show you the ICI module. In this module, this is a May 22 module. This is May 2022 updated module in which new questions have been added, right? This illustration number 10 will be solving. This is an exam question. This is an exam question, CA exam question, right? So we'll be discussing this. First, try to understand what is the concept behind this key factor, the limiting factor. So before we continue, subscribe to the channel, press the bell icon and hit the like button on each and every video so that we get to know that you are enjoying these videos, right? And share with maximum people. That is the most important thing. And all the important links are there in the video description for Instagram, Telegram, website, Android app. All the links are there in the video description. Do check it out. Okay, so let's continue with what is the key factor, the limiting factor. Let's say you are preparing for a particular exam, right? You are preparing for an exam of 100 marks. Right? Now this exam is divided into two parts, section A and section B. Now section A is of 80 marks and section B is of 20 marks. Right? The time to prepare, right? Number of hours available to you to prepare for the exams is say 24 hours. Right? You cannot have more or less than this 24 hours. This is the total number of hours that is available to you to prepare for this 100 marks exam, right? In which 80 marks consist of section A and 20 marks consist of section number B. What will you do? Now what happens, sir? This is a limiting factor. This time is limited for you. This is limited, right? So that means you want to prepare for an exam, but there is a condition or a limitation assigned to the preparation of that. What is the limitation? Limitation is the time available to us. That is 24 hours maximum, right? So this time becomes my key factor. This time becomes my key factor or the limiting factor, right? This becomes my limitation now, right? This is my limitation that if I have to prepare for this exam of 100 marks, I have 24 hours of time only. I have limited time. I have a limiting factor that is limiting my preparation. Now, one thing is clear. One thing I know that in these 24 hours, I won't be able to prepare for 100 marks exam. Now, how should I plan for it then? Right? Because it is a limitation. This 24 hours is a limiting factor. Time is a limiting factor. It is a limitation now. I have to decide that how to judiciously utilize this time, right? How to effectively utilize these 24 hours so that I am able to score the maximum marks. Now what will I do? My passing marks is say 50. Passing marks is say 50. Now what will be your approach? Keep yourself in this condition. What will be your approach? Sir, what you will try to do is, you will try to cover those parts which will fetch you maximum marks. Isn't it? You will try to cover, you will say, okay, if it is 100 marks, I'll cover this 80 marks. I can cover this 80 marks in 24 hours, right? So you will try to study, that part which you can cover maximum, in 24 hours, right? And fetch good marks and fetch passing marks. Let's say passing marks. right? Isn't it? That's what you will plan. Now come to the manufacturing part. This situation is clear that what is a key factor or a limiting factor, that whenever you are preparing for something, there is a limitation attached to that. Okay, I'll explain with the help of another example. Now come to the manufacturing sector. Again, we'll take an example only. I'll explain you with one or two examples so that it is absolutely clear to you. Then we'll move on to the practical part, right? Because the practical part is important in that how you apply that, right? Now, let's say you want to make a snack. You want to make a snack using potatoes, right? Two snacks, not one snack. You want to make two snacks, right? S1, snack 1, S2, snack 2. Now, what happens? You want to make 100 units of this and you want to make 100 units of this, right? The problem here is that the availability of potatoes, this is limited. This is limited to 150 kg, right? And usage, RM usage is 1 kg and 1 kg per unit, right? Are you trying to understand the situation? See, I want to make 100 units of S1 and 100 units of S2. RM usage is 1 kg per unit and 1 kg per unit. So what will be my total RM usage? What will be my total RM usage is 200 kg and 200 kg if I want to make 100 units of each, right? But the problem here is that I have only 150 kg of raw material. This is my raw material basically, right? This is my raw material, and the problem here is that, sir, I have only 150 kg. Now this potato, this raw material becomes my limiting factor, right? This becomes my key factor. On this basis now I will decide which product, the quantity, how much quantity of which snack is to be made, right? So this raw material, this potatoes, this becomes my limiting factor. Clear? Key factor or limiting factor, that I have a limitation as to the availability of the raw material, that is potatoes, 150 kg, whereas I need 200 plus 200, 400 kg I need, sorry, it is 100, okay, wrong. This is 100, this is 100, not 200, right? Total 200 kg I need, right? Total 200 kg I require, but I have only 150 kg. Now, what will be the basis? As just think as a layman, just think as a rational man, what will be the basis on which you can decide that how much of the quantity, which snack should be given the priority? Now, with 150 kg, one thing is sure, that I cannot make both the snacks, right? Which snack should be given the priority in manufacturing? So as a layman, just think as a layman that what is the importance, what is the basis that you will take? The basis will be very simple, sir. I say, what is the contribution that you earn from this product? Say it is 20 rupees per unit, right? And from this product, 15 rupees per unit, right? 20 rupees per unit. This is the contribution that you are earning, right? So now tell me, what will be the basis? Sir, this product, this S1 is giving you more profit, more contribution. So first, you will utilize this raw material for the manufacturing of S1, right? Then whatever is the raw material available, the left raw material, that is 50 kg, 100 kg will be utilized here, right? The 50 kg left, 50 kg, you will utilize this 50 kg to manufacture the remaining, as per the availability of raw material, whatever the units you can manufacture, right? You will be able to manufacture 50 units only and not 100 units. So the basis is, whenever you have a key factor or the limiting factor, what we do is we calculate the contribution per limiting factor, right? If the raw material is limited, we try to calculate contribution for that raw material, that what is the contribution that we will be earning for from that products, right? So what is the important thing here is, contribution per limiting factor. contribution per limiting factor is what we try to calculate. So the basics I have explained with the help of these two examples, that what is a key factor basically, right? And on what basis we decide that which product should be given the priority in manufacturing. Okay. Here in the first case, the time was the limitation. In the second case, raw material was the limitation. So if we talk from the manufacturing point of view, we can have the raw material as a limitation, we can have the labor hours as a limitation, we can have the machine hours as a limitation, right? So all these things can happen. So it will depend upon the question. Now the thing is, in the key or limiting factor, the thing that you need to learn is that how to tackle the question. That's it, very simple. How to tackle that question, that is the most important thing in the key or limiting factor. So first thing is calculate the contribution. And before that, identify the limiting factor. That will be given in the question. Identify the limiting factor, then calculate the contribution, then contribution per limiting factor, and then decide that which product you can manufacture. Let's deal with one problem and you will be able to understand it more clearly. Let's see. Illustration number 10. This is an exam question. Moon Limited produces products X, Y, and Z and has decided to analyze its production mix in respect of 3 products. Direct material cost per unit is given, variable overheads per unit is given, direct labor. In the department A, it is 4 rupees hours per unit, right? For X, Y, and Z. In the manufacturing 1 unit, you need 6 hours in the department A for X, 10 for Y, and 5 for Z, and the rate is given 4, and for department B it is 8. From the current budget, the following details are below. Annual production at present. At present, this is the production that they are already doing. 10,000, 12,000, and 20,000. Estimated selling price is given. Right? Then the sales department estimate of the possible sales in the coming year is given. 12,000, 16,000, and 24,000. Right? There is a constraint on the supply of labor in department A, and its manpower cannot be increased beyond its present level. Right? Beyond its present level, they say whatever is the present hours, total hours available in the department A, this is given per unit. This data is given per unit. Now they say whatever is the current position, whatever is the total number of hours being utilized in department A currently, dependent upon number of current units being produced, right? Whatever is the total number of hours being available in the department A, that is a limiting factor. You cannot increase those hours, right? So they say require identify the best possible product mix of Moon Limited and calculate the total contribution from the best possible product mix. So what we'll do is selling price is given to you 312, 400, and 240. No issues. Variable cost, direct material given to you, right? Direct labor. Direct labor is very simple, sir. Given rate multiplied by hours. We are calculating per unit. 4 into 6, 4 into 10, 4 into 5, 8 into 6, 8 into 15, and 8 into 11. Right? Calculated. No issues. Rate multiplied by hours. Variable overheads given to you. Total variable cost. Total variable cost means this cost. Right? This cost. This is the total variable cost. Right? Contribution. Contribution is sales minus total variable cost. 312 minus 240. 72 is the contribution. 400 minus 300. 100 is the contribution. 240 selling price minus variable cost. 40 is the contribution. Now, nothing. We haven't done anything special here. Have we? We haven't done anything special here. We have just calculated the contribution in the normal methodology, right? As we are used to calculate contribution. Then what is the limiting factor now? Limiting factor is hours in department A, and I have written calculate contribution per limiting factor. Contribution per limiting factor. What they have done is they say what is the hours in department A per unit, right? We are doing per unit 6, 10, and 5, right? 6, 10, and 5. Now this is a limiting factor. You cannot increase this capacity. 6, 10, and 5. So the contribution per hour. if 6 hours is spent, what is the contribution per hour that we will earn? That is 72 divided by 6. 72 divided by 6, 12. 100 divided by 10. This is contribution per limiting factor. Right? This is my contribution per limiting factor. Now on this basis, that per hour contribution, which product is giving me the best per hour contribution? Ours is a limiting factor. So on the basis of per hour, which is the product that is giving me the best contribution? See, product X is giving the highest contribution. So whatever is the total hours available, I will first manufacture product X. Then I will manufacture product Y. Then if available, more hours are available, I will manufacture product Z. Clear? This is the ranking that we have done, that on the basis of contribution per limiting factor. Limiting factors is hours in department A. So on that basis, we have decided that whatever is the hours available, hours is a limiting factor, right? Now, what is the existing hours? Existing hours, this is my limiting factor, that I cannot use more than what are the existing hours. That is what is given. Cannot be increased beyond its present level. At the present level, how many hours are being used? 10,000 units are being manufactured. In 1 unit, 6 hours for X being used. So 10,000 multiplied by 6 hours. Similarly, for Y, 12,000 multiplied by 10. For Z, 20,000. This is for X, this is for Y, and this is for Z. Now you have total 2,80,000 hours. Right? Total you have 2,80,000 hours. This is the maximum availability of hours. Maximum availability. Right? Now in this 2,80,000 hours, you have to plan the manufacturing of X, Y and Z. So first you will manufacture X as per this ranking. First you will manufacture X, best possible product mix. Product X, 12,000 units. How this 12,000 units? Because we say that in the next year, we want to manufacture 12,000, 16 and 24,000. This is the units we are planning to manufacture. But the problem here is that I have only 2,80,000 hours. Now I have to see whether I will be able to manufacture 12, 16 and 24,000 in these hours or not, right? So first is product X, 12,000 units. How many hours are required? 12,000 multiplied by 6, right? 6 hours per unit, 12,000, the number of units that I want to manufacture. So 12,000 multiplied by 6 will give me the total number of hours required to manufacture the X in the next year, right? What is the balance hours? Now out of 2,80,000, we have utilized 72,000 hours, right, in the manufacturing of X. So what is left? 2,08,000 hours. Now next I will manufacture Y, right? As per the ranking, I will manufacture Y now, 16,000 units. Number of hours required, 16,000 multiplied by 10, 1,60,000 hours are required, right? I have 2,08,000 hours, so I can easily manufacture. Okay, sir. X and Y fully manufactured, no issues. Balance hours now. Out of 2,08,000, you have utilized 1,60,000 in the manufacturing of Y. The balance is 48,000 hours, right? Now, you want to manufacture this product Z. In this product Z, how many hours are required? Sir, 24,000 multiplied by 5. 24,000 multiplied by 5. 1,20,000 hours are required. Right? Required. 1,20,000 hours are required to manufacture 24,000 units as per the planning. Do you have 1,20,000 hours available to you? No. How many hours are available? Sir, we have only 48,000 hours. Now we need to see that in those 48,000 hours, how many units you can manufacture, right? In those 48,000 hours, how many units you can manufacture? For X and Y, you are able to manufacture the full units, 12,000 and 16,000, whatever you planned for, right? But for Z, you have a limitation now that you don't have the sufficient number of hours to produce 24,000 units. Now, whatever the hours are available, how many units you can produce in those hours? Likewise, here I say first you will manufacture S1, right? You will utilize the whole of raw material, that is 100 kg. Then whatever is left, 50 kg is left, you will find out in 50 kg how many units you can manufacture, right? Similarly, in 48,000, you will see how many units you can manufacture. See sir, in 5 hours, 1 unit, right? So in 48,000 hours, how many units? 1 divided by 5 multiplied by 48,000, right? 9,600 units of the Z you can manufacture as per this limiting factor of 2,80,000 hours, right? So how we decided that product X, Y or Z should be manufactured? On the basis of this contribution per limiting factor, that per hour, if ours is a limiting factor, per hour, which product is giving you the best contribution? X is giving you the highest contribution. So you will first select X in the manufacturing, then Y and then Z. Clear? The second part says that calculate the total contribution from the best possible product mix. Now he says whatever the product mix you have analyzed, that is 12,000 units, 16,000 units and 9,600 units, right? Now you will be manufacturing this, isn't it? Now show the contribution from this part, right? X, Y, Z. What is the number of units? 12,000, 16 and 9,600. Contribution per unit. Contribution we have calculated here, but not per limiting factor. Total contribution per unit, 7,240, right? 7,240. So total contribution from that makes 28,48,000. Clear? Now this is a very important question. This has already been asked in the exam, but these kind of questions with a twist can be asked. We have more questions like this. We have more questions for if you want to do all the questions in detail, right? Like this question number 11 is there. So a lot of questions are there. If you want to do this in detail, join the ICI Study Mat series from our mobile app, right? This is going to be highly beneficial for you. And this series is already available for May 22 guys. English version is already available on the Android mobile app where we have covered this module, right? And from time to time we keep on updating, because in future if some of the people, these videos are going to be on YouTube. So if you are watching after May 22 module, May 22 attempt, right? We keep on updating that series, right? So don't worry about it. Just download the app. Link is in the video description. Join that series. And mind you this thing guys, believe me, this series will change your marks from 40 to 70. Definitely it can, definitely. So we are done with the key or limiting factor topic, right? Now the last topic that I want to discuss is one type of question that you can get. Come to ICI module question illustration number 18. Now we discussed when we started with the marginal costing, we discussed something about the absorption costing or not? I don't remember now even. Okay, anyhow. What is absorption costing? Absorption costing is you absorb the overheads on some basis. I think we discussed about it, right? So you absorb the overheads on some basis. Now these kind of questions can be asked in the examination, where what will happen, sir? You will be asked to prepare the cost sheets or the presentation or the statements as per the absorption costing also and as per the marginal costing also. These kind of questions have already been asked in the examination and these can be repeatedly asked in the examination. Let's do illustration number 18 through which it will be more clear. Wonder Limited manufactures a single product Zest. The following figures relate to Zest for a 1 year period. 50% capacity level and 100% capacity level. Sales is given, units 400 and 800, sales 8 lakh, 16 lakh. Production cost 3,20,000, 6,40,000, fixed 160 and 160. Selling and distribution overheads are given to you. Okay. The normal level of activity for the year is 800 units. 800 units is 100% capacity. Okay. The fixed costs are incurred evenly throughout the year and the actual fixed costs are the same as budgeted. There were no stock of Zest at the beginning of the year. In the first quarter, 220 units were produced and 160 units were sold. Okay, 220 units were produced and 160 units were sold. Compute the fixed production cost absorbed by Zest if absorption costing is used. Calculate calculate the under or over recovery of overheads during the period, calculate the profit using the absorption costing and profit using marginal costing, right? So what is my, let's see, fixed production overhead cost absorbed. Now how this absorption has been done? What is my budgeted fixed overhead? 1,60,000, where it is? We are talking about the production overheads only, okay? See, sir, what about this variable? Variable is already identified. Variable is already identified in 1 unit. No need to absorb that, sir. So relax. Fixed cost. Budgeted fixed cost 1,60,000. No issues, right? What is the budgeted output? 800 units. So what is the absorption rate for 800 units? What is your fixed cost? 1,60,000. What is absorption rate? 200 per unit. Now listen to it very carefully. For the first quarter, you have manufactured 220 units. So how much cost would you have absorbed? You would have absorbed 200 rupees per unit on 220 units. 44,000 is the cost that you have absorbed on the basis of absorption rate, and the absorption rate is calculated on the basis of number of units, right? Because there is no other base given. So we have calculated it on the basis of number of units, that if the cost is 1,60,000 for 800 units, per unit cost is 200. Now if you have manufactured 220 units, that means you have absorbed 44,000. Right? Now, what is the actual production overhead cost? He says, the question says actual cost is same as the budgeted one. That means your actual cost is 1,60,000, right? And we are talking only of about 1 quarter. So this is 1 by 4, right? 1 quarter. Right? So we are talking about 1 quarter. That means your actual production overheads of the quarter is 40,000, whereas you have absorbed 44,000 from here. Are you getting the point? So there is an over recovery of overheads to the tune of 4,000. These were the first 2 parts. Very important question. Mark it as very important question from examination point of view, right? So what we have done is, first we have seen that in a particular quarter, what is the fixed production cost that you have absorbed, right? What you have absorbed, and absorption is done on some basis. The basis here is number of units. The absorption rate has been calculated on the basis of number of units, that if 1,60,000 is the cost for 800 units, what will be the cost that you will be absorbing for 220 units, right? Actual fixed overheads 1,60,000 into 1 by 4, because 1,60,000 is for complete year and 1 by 4 is for 1 quarter. You are calculating 40,000, whereas you have absorbed 44,000 units, 44,000 rupees, right? Now you want to calculate the profit for the quarter as per absorption costing, not the marginal costing. Now in the absorption costing, we do not divide our cost into variable and fixed overheads, isn't it? What we do? We do not consider the division into fixed and variable overheads. We do not calculate contribution. We divide expenses, or we take expenses according to the functions. That is what we done. Okay. Sales revenue 160 units multiplied by 2000. Sir, how this 2000? 16 lakh divided by 800, right? Sales. This is 16 lakh divided by 800. So 2000 per unit, right? Any doubts? No, sir. Let's move on. So 2000 less production cost. Variable cost is 220 units multiplied by 800 rupees, 1,76,000, right? Variable cost per unit, calculated per unit, right? Variable cost per unit. It is 6,40,000 divided by 800. So it is 800 rupees per unit. So how many units you have manufactured in the quarter? 220 units. So 220 units multiplied by 800. Fixed overheads absorbed. We have just calculated 44,000, right? So 2,20,000. Add opening stock. There is no opening stock. Less closing stock. Now if this 2,20,000, if 2,20,000 is the cost of manufacturing 220 units, right? It is the cost of manufacturing for 220 units. The cost of manufacturing is 2,20,000. So for the 60 units that are lying in the stock, what will be the cost? 2,20,000 divided by 220 multiplied by 60, right? So this will be 60,000. This will be your closing stock, right? This is the production. This is production. In the production, if I add opening stock less closing stock, right, what I will get is the cost of goods sold. Remember cost sheet? Remember cost sheet? Cost of production, add opening less closing gives you cost of goods sold, 1,60,000, right? Out of this 1,60,000, now I will reduce the overheads which I have over absorbed. Over absorption 4,000. This was never my cost. This 4,000 was not to be recovered from the customer, right? This is not a part of my cost. I have over absorbed it. This 4,000 is not to be recovered from my customer. Not to be recovered. Not to be recovered. If it is not to be recovered, what I will do? I will subtract it from the cost. Go ahead, right? After that, selling and distribution overheads, variable 160 into 400, be careful, 160 units, and fixed, whatever is given for 1 quarter divided by 4, be very careful. We need to calculate for 1 quarter, right? Not for the whole year, 60,000. So cost of sales is 2,80,000, profit is total sales, 3,20,000 minus cost of sales, 280, 40,000 is your profit, right? So first we have basically what we have done is we have done nothing but prepare the cost sheet only, right? Starting with the sales, calculating with the sales, because we are preparing the income statement. Remember I told you the income statement under absorption costing in the very first lecture of marginal costing. We start with the sales, less cost, production cost, right? Then adjusted cost of goods sold, then adjusted for the sales, cost of sales and profit. Basically this is nothing but the cost sheet only in the reverse, in a slightly different manner. That's it. Instead of taking sales at the end, you are taking the sales at the top. That's it, right? Rest everything, production cost, direct material, direct labor, direct. Instead of that, we take variable cost plus fixed overheads, adjustment for opening and closing finished goods, cost of goods sold, adjustment for the selling and distribution overhead, cost of sales. Sales minus cost of sales will give you profit. Now this is under absorption costing, what we have been doing, that we absorb overheads on some basis. Now in the marginal costing, what we do is, let's prepare the profit under marginal costing now. Very simple. Sales revenue 160 units into 2,000, no issue. Less production cost. Now production cost will take only and only the variable cost. Fixed cost is fixed, nothing to worry about it, right? We need to calculate contribution. Contribution using only and only variable cost. So variable cost for 220 units multiplied by 800, 176. Now here I will adjust the opening and closing stock. Add opening, nil. Closing, now 1,76,000 is the variable cost of manufacturing. How many units? 220 units. So what will be the cost of manufacturing 60 units? 48,000. This is all variable cost, right? Adjustment will give me the variable cost of goods sold. Add selling and distribution overheads, only the variable part, 64,000. This will be the cost of sales, variable cost of sales, right? So sales minus the variable cost of sales, 1,90,000 will give me the contribution, less the fixed cost. Now fixed cost for production and selling and distribution, the profit is 28,000. Now under absorption costing, my profit was 40,000 and here my profit is 28,000. Now where is the difference? The major difference here is in the valuation of this closing stock, isn't it? In the production cost, absorption we have done, that is fine, right? So major difference is in the closing stock, right? This is how you have to prepare the statements under absorption costing and under marginal costing. Under absorption costing, you do not divide it into variable and fixed overheads, but you divide it on the basis of functions. Production, right? Then adjustment for finished goods will give you cost of goods sold. Then adjustment for selling and distribution overheads will give you cost of sales. But in the case of marginal costing, you have to divide it between the variable cost and the fixed cost, and everything revolves around that. First you will take the variable cost of production, all the variable cost, even the closing stock, opening stock adjustment, it is to be done according to the cost of production, variable cost of production, right? So this is how the questions will be done. So with this we end this chapter of marginal costing. We have covered almost all the topics of marginal costing which are relevant from the examination point of view. And for more practice of the questions, I will say you can go for the handbooks, right? Handbooks are available from our website www.ksjteaching.org. Link is in the video description. And another thing is, go for the ICI SM series. Do not miss out on this opportunity, guys. Some people say, why to shell out that much money, right, for that? But I tell you, this is going to be a game changer course, and I'm coming up with a special course where I'll be covering the ICI SM series. I'll be covering the RTP, MTP, and the past year paper from 2018 we will cover, right? So I'm coming up with another game changer course. Wait for it. In the meantime, you can join the ICI SM series and cover your complete ICI module, which is going to be a very, very, very important thing, right? Okay, so next lecture we are going to start with our next chapter. Next chapter is going to be budgetary control. Very easy chapter, very easy chapter. Why I'll say budgetary control? Some people say, sir, budgetary control is very difficult. I say it is one of the easiest chapters. Why? Because there is nothing new to learn in the budgetary control. Nothing new to learn. Absolutely nothing. Then, sir, what we have to do in the budgetary control? We have to just apply whatever we have already learned. That's it. We have to apply what we have already learned in all the chapters. That's it. So it is one of the easiest chapters, right? So see you guys in the next lecture with the new chapter. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy, keep studying, keep sharing. Thank you so much.